What's up, peeps? Julian Williams here with the Distance video for you guys. More than likely, this will be my final video this evening. This is my 11th video in a matter of like 2 or 3 hours. Record? No, not really. Anyway, this is going to be a fantasy match. This is going to be Nicolino Loche versus Wilfred Benitez. 140 pounds. This one's an interesting fight because you have two skilled defensive fighters, Nicolino Loche and Wilfred Benitez. Loche had wonderful. I mean, they both had great upper body movement. Loche was very elusive. He was very elusive, and he would use his shoulders and his legs to create certain shots. He'll kind of wait. He'll stand there in front of you. Kind of evade the shots. He kind of look back, and he's kind of in a position where he's ready to counter, or he's in a position where, and sometimes he'd be on the ropes too. I mean, he's on the ropes, and sometimes there would be shots open, and it seems as if he wouldn't take those punches. I mean, he wouldn't go for the shots. However, he was very quick and just had great timing defensively with his upper body movement, and then he would just evade some fierce barrages. Just standing up, moving his shoulders, pivoting his body a little bit, kind of basically, like a Houdini type of approach where he's kind of escaping every type of barrage. And then on the other hand, you have Wilfred Benitez. Wilfred Benitez, hands down, I think I want to say one of the greatest defensive fighters ever. And it's not because of the punches that he evaded. It's because he would evade punches, and then he would be in a position where he would throw harder shots or throw shots from odd places. Wilfred Benitez would. I mean, he was even though he would be very elusive up top, and he'd be very quick. He would maybe slip a shot, and then he's in a position where he's throwing a big right hand shot, and putting somebody down. I won't watch no tennis. And then he's putting somebody down, of course. Just off the counter. Wonderful timing with his left hook. Wonderful timing with the straight right hand. Gave Roberto Duran a boxing lesson. Moving his upper body. I wish that he did give Davey Moore that same boxing lesson. However, I mean that fight was nasty though, man. Like, if you look at his fight with Davey Moore, it was a couple fights after Davey Moore had fought Roberto Duran. He fought like another guy, and then he fought Wilfred Benitez. Benitez took this nasty fall in this fight, and his ankle just snapped. It was his right ankle, where he gets a lot of leverage for his shots on from time to time for his right hand, because how he leaned and ducked his and dipped his body. He would get. I mean, he would get a lot of leverage instead of getting leverage off his lead foot. A lot of that leverage came from that right foot, especially when he threw that right hand, because he would step in with the left. The right foot would be planted into the ground. How on the contrary, though, as I'm trying to mention, in that fight, you could tell that he's a defensive fighter, and you could tell that his base was his basically was his foundation. His base was his foundation, because he needed to have his feet planted so he can move his shoulders and evade shots. But then in that fight, he took this real nasty fall in the first round, and his ankle snapped, and you could see it snap. And I mean, if you look at it in slow motion, his ankle is shattered. A lot of people say he quit. I mean, his ankle's obviously broken if you look at that fall. But if you look at the fight with Davey Moore, you could if you look at his shoulders, he's evading the punches, he's evading shots, and from time to time, one would slip in, but he's standing on the ropes and he's moving his shoulders, dipping his shoulders different ways, just standing on the ropes, and he couldn't move anywhere. Man, I honestly wish that, and God rest his soul to Davey Moore, But God, I wish that Benitez went in and gave him a boxing lesson too, because I would have picked Benitez to win with no, if there was no injury. However, I mean, on the other hand, but going into this fight, I mean, Loche, another one of the great Argentinian fighters, along with Carlos Monzon. I mean, I want to say Benitez was a more physical fighter. This would be an odd fight. I mean, because you gotta wonder who's gonna take the lead with two men who evade shots and counters. You know, you have to wonder who's gonna take the lead for this fight. Benitez probably would take the lead. That's just my opinion. I think Benitez would. However, he probably hit Loche with some judicious shots and some educated shots to try to put him down. But I think he would be too smart to go for the KO right away. However, on the other hand, though, I think early in the fight, Loche would probably do whatever he could to make Benitez miss and look for certain counters to Benitez and go from there. However, I would go with Wilfred Benitez, just because, as I mentioned, he's always in that position to punch. He's in the position. I mean, when he's evading the shot, he's in the position to counter with either the left hook or the right hand. Because he would move his shoulders. They called him El Radar. I know I said it incorrectly, but I would go with Benitez in this one. One of my favorite all-time fighters. That's my bias. Wilfred Benitez. Anyway, peeps, let me know what you think. That's Distance. Thanks for watching, and good night.